All right, let's get into our first discussion of the day now. Some good for the safety of lives. 40 containers of Tramadol, which could have done grave damage to the health of Nigerians, have been intercepted by the Nigerian customs.
Well, the regulatory agency impounded the banned substance worth 7.3 billion naira, which was imported from India at the Apapa port in Lagos. TVC News correspondent Ifunanya has a report on this development.
The arrival of the Comptroller General of Customs to the Apapa Command is an indication that the agency has made a big kill. The agency impounded 40 containers of Tramadol imported from India. Following the close inspection of this Tramadol pack, it was discovered that most of them came in 120 milligram, 125 milligram, 225 milligram and 250 milligram, indicating that this is way above the prescribed legal prescription of 50 milligram. This has heightened calls for a stricter regulation and control of drug distribution channel in Nigeria.
From the content, as we are seeing, these are Tramadol. There's no doubt about it. The labels are there. And I was also explaining the systemic way of packaging. What they do is they package almost half of the container with something else, and then half of the container, right deep down, is the actual culprit drugs that they package.
Moving to the conference room, the customs boss gave more information about the seizure and how thousands of dollars, an equivalent of 150 million naira, was used as an article of bribe.
There are Nigerians who are ready to make money at the expense of human lives by bringing in such quantity of drugs that have grave consequences on health and national security. In their criminal desperation, importers of these items offered bribes to the tune of 150 million to my officers to effect the release of just one container, with promises of even bigger sums to follow in the event that their first attempt succeeds.
3 suspects, including customs officers who cleared the containers, have been arrested for further investigation. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
Wow. Very troubling, really. Wow. Well, we have joining us to discuss the issue of Tramadol abuse in Nigeria, Dr. Dokun Adedeji. He is National Coordinator, Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministry. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure to be here. Nice to be here. Thank you.
This is very, very... A state of emergency really should be declared.
Absolutely.
I mean, don't you think?
I think so. Look, if America can, why can't we? Look, this is a national embarrassment. We are in the territory of an epidemic. That's the simple way to say it. And this is something one has said over the years, but we've been so nonchalant about anything about it. We've been careless. You know what I found out in this country is, if something does not become personal, nobody does anything about it. This is now beginning to touch each home and each family, and so it's becoming...
Oh, it has become already.
It has become.
Yeah, I mean,
I can tell you that.
The NDLEA boss, you know, Colonel...
Hamid Ali?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the NDLEA.
Oh, okay.
Abdallah, you know, say that every family in Nigeria now has one drug-dependent,
yes.
you know,
I'm glad
person.
you said that. I must say this to you. About 15 years ago, we were at an international conference in Abuja. And then we used to delude ourselves then that Nigeria was a transit nation. And I said to the NDLA boss then, I don't want to mention it, that that's not true. That if you go on the field in this country, you will know that we're already approaching an epidemic. Oh, he said, no, I've come again with this. I said, okay. 2013, we now finally agree that we're a user nation. But you see, the thing that should even bother us is that we are also approaching a manufacturing nation, in the sense that NDLA has found laboratories in this country where they manufacture amphetamines. And so even the one that was found, I think, in Asaba, brought 4 people in from a South American country, I think it was Colombia, or Mexico as consultants. And you know, you don't need a large laboratory to manufacture this thing. And that's just, there is no drug you want to find anywhere that you don't find in this country. And until we sit down with the political will to do something, in 5 years' time, it will be a disaster.
All right. The word or the name Tramadol now seem to be something abominable. Let's get to the real use of it. Is Tramadol really naturally a dangerous drug that no one should touch?
That's not true.
How?
That's not
because
true.
the point there is sometimes the name Tramadol is used side by side like cocaine or
Indian
marijuana
hemp,
and all of that.
You see, the thing is, because that's also what I talk in this country, there's no understanding of anything. We don't understand the dynamics of anything. We just brandish and then we'll do that kind of thing. Tramadol is a drug that is a prescription drug. Is an opioid, is an analgesic that is used in moderate to severe pains, particularly maybe post-surgery or people who have some very bad pains, and so you prescribe it. The thing with Tramadol, incidentally, Tramadol is even least potent
of all
these
painkillers.
Opioids, painkillers. That's the interesting thing about it. I see in good pharmaceutical doses of 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams, as the case may be, perfect drug to use. But the thing is, when people begin to use it out of prescription or beyond the dose of prescription, it becomes a problem. And then you see, the thing about Tramadol is the addictive potentials are there, but you do not recognize it almost immediately. It can be silent. People can be using it. People using it themselves may not know they're already addicted because it offers relief. And they, until they begin to see that they can't do without it, the slightest of pains, they want to use it. They pop it. And the problem we have today in Nigeria is not from the regular dosage under prescription. The ones that are imported by, as the custom DG said, or the one that was impounded, the ones that have been impounded comes in like 225 milligrams, way, way beyond prescription, 250. 500, 1,000 milligrams.
Whoa.
There you will know that those are for nefarious use, and whoever brought them in actually told manufacturers to make them in that dosage. It should never.
And the manufacturers too accept to, you know, increase the dosage. I recall, you know, under late Dora Akunyili, when she was head NAFDAC, she actually went out of her way to visit the countries of origin where these drugs, you know, come from. Yeah, where they're manufactured. Should we begin to go that far to actually check those countries where these drugs are coming from?
Oh yes, we know where they come from.
Yeah.
We should visit, but let me tell you something. As there are rogue importers and there are rogue manufacturers. So even if you go to, let's say, India and go to the registered companies who make it, they will say to you, this is what we do. But the thing is that some fringe manufacturers who are criminally inclined, and then they will make it for you as long as another criminal intent is brought into play, and is money.
Huge sums.
Did you hear what
this cash, 7.3 billion naira?
I was just whispering to you. People do not understand the power of corruption. People think corruption is when we are pursuing people who steal money in political space. This is corruption, an element of corruption. How would a man live here, go abroad, tell people to do what is contrary to regular, and he imports it under illegal papers, and then he brings money to bribe people so that those things can come. And when those things come, they destroy lives. What kind of mind is that? A man who does not care. And many of the people taking Tramadol are people who ordinarily just went into it without knowing the consequences. And there are a lot of young people taking it for other benefits that they get, which I don't want to mention on TV so that it doesn't encourage other people to go take it. So those are the things playing out in our country. And it's a lot of factors we need to look at when we want to deal with drugs. And I've said to people, we look at drugs and then, like what Nigeria usually knee-jerk response, oh, we want to ban Tramadol, or we want to ban codeine. That's not the right thing to do. You need to understand the problem. You just say, we need to sit down and then understand the various dynamics of this. Who brings it in? Why do they bring it in? How do they bring it in? Why do people want to take it? And then you go to
And what is the target? Because when you hear that a lot of these drugs actually make their way to the north, and then there's insurgency, there's terrorism, banditry, and all of those things. Is somebody somewhere actually trying to influence these people in a way that their minds will be bent?
Exactly. Because it also brings to bear what you were saying earlier, sitting down to understand the dynamics.
Absolutely.
And then also finding the link. Are there links with the use of tramadol or codeine or whatever with all of this insurgency that is going on?
It is. So I think there was a time they got to the camp of Boko Haram. They found expired cartons of tramadol. You see, because what these things do, if people even use it ordinarily, it's bad. But then they mix it
with all kinds of
things. There are some drinks, some bitters, some alcohol they mix these things with, even some local gins. So he makes it actually more potent, and then he enhances already bad consequences of what they're doing. You see, my problem...
And it makes them lose their humanity at the end of the day. Because, I mean, for somebody to go into an IDP camp, for example...
And then shoot and rape, or somebody...
So at that level, you're not normal anymore.
Look, all these things also is linked to mental health. It's because when a man loses his ability of thinking faculties, he does anything. There's no one who can rape a woman who's not likely to be on something. There's no man who robs. Look at the offer robbery. There's a guy who sells them marijuana. And so it's also a link. Criminal activities, cultism, and all the vices within the society. If we don't deal with those things, and look at politicians. Politicians have thugs. Thugs are not regular people.
And they give them these things.
And they give them these things, and they give them ammunition to go and begin to attack people.
All right. At the ports of entry, most of the times, these things, we heard this last one now, because there has been the previous one of over 2 million tablets or so, or 200 and something million. 240. 240 million tablets of tramadol. There has been the ones previously and all that. This last one now, we understand there was a move to bribe customs officials.
150 million.
But at a certain point, certainly the containers were cleared before they were intercepted. Now, talk to us about the issue of connivance at that level.
You see,
is it possible that it's also
it is possible. You see, look, let me tell you, until we begin to reduce the level of bureaucracy that permits people to permeate the system, and we won't get it. Why does anybody have to sign like 7 places to get something imported when all of the people that should sign can sit on the same table? If they sit on the same table, tell me who you want to bribe. Will you bribe the whole set? Will they succumb to your criminal intent? We need to begin to checkmate these things. There are some people, the only reason why they go to customs is to become rich. The only reason why they go to NDLA, police or whatever,
or even government.
People or any government agency. Why does a man want to be a politician in Nigeria? You see, those things must be there. But you know, from what you have said, it falls back to fundamentals. We have lost our humanity as a people. Our values are gone. Today, you read in the papers of people who are rich, nobody asks them how they became rich. And so, when those things blow out, they begin to fester in other areas of our national life.
And the young people who are observing what is happening feel that their future is not guaranteed anyway. They have nothing to live for. Now, let's look at the average abuser of whether it's tramadol or any of these other drugs. You've been helping them. You've been helping some, right? Tell us, walk us through the process. How does a person who, the damage has been done already. They're already hooked on it. How do you help such people, especially at the institutional level?
Okay. This is what we do. We have a working arrangement, like a memorandum of understanding with about 13 Nigerian universities. They send their students to us when they are caught. But sometimes the error in some of the institutions is this. There's a difference between somebody who uses it for once or who is caught. Is not an addict. Than somebody who is a chronic user. I think what the institution should begin to do is probably, it may be out of their purview, because that's not what they're set up for. Now things have changed. They need them to extend themselves into that is, what do we do with these people who we just catch, who we have not found to be chronic users? The chronic users are sent to us. We bring them in. We detoxify them. And then we then put on rehabilitation. They spend about a year with us. Believe me, when they leave, they become very good people. Some of them today are doctors, and lawyers, and pilots.
Should we localize treatment like a local government, per local government, create some kind of help centers, you know, where
maybe
they can
help
actually
centers,
go for
but
help?
not rehab centers, because they're pretty expensive to manage.
All right, we have to leave you here now. We certainly will keep beaming our searchlight on this to create more enlightenment. Dr. Dokuma Dedechi, the National Coordinator, Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministry, thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure, it is.